And good morning.
Good morning.
How we doing? Good?
Doing well.
Feeling good? It's a morning. We're recording in the morning.
Coffee's kicking in.
The coffee's kicking in. Here we are. This is, Talking Winter with Swinner. My name's Ken Bogeman. Got Brent Reeder and...
I got Jason.
You want to introduce
here
yourself?
Today. Yeah.
Mr. Jason Duncan is with us today. And Jason's here in the seat of somebody that used to be here. And he's now gone. Unfortunately, Zach has left us. Which, if you remember last week, we were talking about, making an announcement, and he'd said, not this week, let's wait. Well, Zach has decided to move on to a different position. He's going to be a fleet manager for a non-emergency medical transportation outfit here in St. Louis. And we're going to miss him a whole lot. He was going to be here today. However, oddly enough, he threw his back out pretty good yesterday, moving a toolbox. So he's not around. He's not here. So he's out. But we love Zach. We're going to miss him. Hopefully he'll join us from time to time on the show.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Zach, if you're listening, which, of course you're listening because, even though you're gone, you're deeply invested in this place.
That's right.
That's right. And so here we are with the sound of music rolling in the background.
Yeah. Just to be clear, we considered using gunfire, but we decided not to.
True. That would have been a little rough. So, yeah. Anyway, we were going to chit-chat with Zach about that, about, his time here and his tenure and his good times and his bad. Instead, now we could just make fun of the dude.
We could.
Do we want to tell Zach stories?
I wasn't prepared for that.
Yeah, that's true. We should have done some more homework on that.
I don't really have any stories, I don't think.
That's okay. You know what we could do, though? So Zach started with us as a mechanic, and then he moved from mechanic into operations manager, into director of operations, and then into account management. And in that tenure, he was always had a soft spot in his heart for keeping things fixed, keeping things running, right? And that was always a big deal to him. And coincidentally, we have did I tell you guys? We have a third listener.
Oh,
I know, right? So instead of saying you two dudes, we now have three, right? And it's pretty exciting. He's actually in New Hampshire. How do you say New Hampshire?
Hampshire.
Is that the way you're supposed to say it?
Yeah, Hampshire.
Where is that? Is that like northeast up there?
Yes,
up there.
New England.
New England?
Yeah.
Which is New England, but it's not Hampshire. Wait, is it in New England?
It's New Hampshire.
I don't know if you can try to copy their accent.
No, it can't be done.
I clearly just did it.
Nice job. So he was sent us a text, which is one of the ways you can contact us via text at area code 314-260-4352. Love to hear from you. Shot us a text last week saying that he was actually pushing snow last week, that they're thinking that might be the last one for the year, but they're pushing up there in New Hampshire, and it said 5 to 8 inches or so. I think sounds awesome.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that'd be good. And I said, hey, what do you want to talk about, man? Give us a topic. What do you want to hear? And he said, oh, okay. Well, you know what I'd like to hear? I would like to hear some more information about the, in-storm repairs. So, give us, repairs in the winter, quick repairs on the fly, because that struggle is real. No time to stop. Got to keep rolling. But those breakdowns are rough. Backup equipment helps. And all of that is correct. So in honor of the late, great Zach Frame, I guess he's not really late. But he's great.
He's just not coming.
He's just not around. That's fair. So, in honor of our brother who's moved on, and the warm spot in his heart for mechanical work and things, why don't we dedicate this one to talking about in-storm repairs, right?
Sounds good.
On the fly. So I think that there's every plow truck should have a few basic things in it, right? So you don't want your operators, doing, heavy mechanical work or heavy electrical work out in the field, but there are some things that you can have that'll make life a lot easier for you as you move in, as you're out in the field doing stuff, right? So let's start with that. So the easy things for easy repairs, right? So that's going to be have a toolbox that's got a box wrench in there so you can tighten up hydraulic lines. It's going to have, some fuses, some of the very, very basic things, right? So, hydraulic lines come loose all the time, unfortunately. And that's a problem. And so, when was it? God, was that a month ago we were in Nebraska?
like 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, okay. So we were up in Nebraska pushing some snow because you got to go where you can to get the action, right? And I had a line pop loose on my plow, and so it's wind chills of negative about negative 20-ish.
It was cold.
It was cold. It was super cold, snowing like crazy, and there I am, laying on a parking lot trying to tighten up hoses on the plow. It is what it is, right? So, you gotta have a crescent wrench, adjustable wrench, box wrench, something like that. So you have the ability to tighten up the lines on the plow. I think that's the easiest in-storm fix. And then you've got to have your low temp hydraulic oil for the plows
for sure,
right?
Yeah.
So you got to have some of that in there. And pro tip, see if you can get the little caps that screw on that have an integrated funnel. You know what I'm talking about? Like you take the cap off of the quart bottle and then you screw on. You screw on.
So that used to be standard. I have not seen that in a while.
So because I'm old,
we have some.
I've got a bunch of them. Like in my little
That's
parts
how
bag.
They all came for the longest time.
Yep.
And then they stopped coming that way. I got really annoyed.
Yeah, but we've got some in stock though, probably.
Yeah, we've got some in a box up there.
Yeah.
Make sure you don't sell those. I want them.
Yeah, definitely hold on to those. So yeah, that makes adding the fluid a lot easier.
Yeah.
And then be sure to show your operators how to actually do that, because inevitably they're going to pop that breather cap off the top and fill that up, and then you got a mess.
Yeah.
So a little bit of training on that, and then really beyond that for on a plow, if it's not tightening up a line and you've got some problem with the plow, that may not be something that your average dude in the field is going to be able to troubleshoot.
Right.
But that said, one thing you do want to have, especially, so it used to be every plow had a chain on it. And if the plow went dead, drive that sucker into a snowbank, which gets the plow off the ground. You move the chain up on the lifter arm and no problem. You drive down the road. Well, now with as many hydraulic driven raised cylinders that we have, you're getting away from chains. So you want to have some pretty heavy-duty straps on the truck, because if there is a problem with that cylinder, you're going to need to strap it up. And in order to do so, you got to have the straps to do it.
Yeah, even if you have a chain, sometimes you'll be in a situation where there is no snow pile to shove the plow up if you have to short chain it.
Yeah, that's true.
So
what do you do then?
That strap.
Yep.
Yeah, I've had to strap a plow up because I had nothing to push the plow up on to get it to go up.
Yep. So you need a couple ratchet straps.
Yeah, they're pretty heavy and a lot of sharp edges, so you want to make sure you can safely raise that plow without it come crashing down at 65, 70 miles an hour.
Yeah. Yeah. So when you're strapping the plow up, you got to get the strap under the plow and then come up around the headgear and then ratchet away on strap number 1 until strap number 2 is loose, and then ratchet away on strap number 2 until strap number 1 is loose, and then back and forth and just work your way up. And then once it's up off the ground, safe enough to drive, man, maybe throw a third one on there. Because to your point, that strap breaks and you're rolling down the highway, that's going to bank for a bad day.
It just depends on what kind of straps you have handy, but yeah.
Well, yeah, that's true. If you got the little inch wide, Home Depot straps, that could be rough.
Put a couple of them on.
At least two. At least two.
At minimum, yeah.
Yeah. So
yeah, and with the tools on the truck, I mean, you don't need to have the 300 Craftsman tool set on the truck. Look at what tools you're actually going to need. I mean, you probably need a 3/4 inch socket to adjust headlights. You need a 1/2 inch or 5/8 wrench to adjust most hydraulic lines. You just look at what you need and keep that in the truck.
Yep. And headlight adjustment, that's a big deal too. That's a really good point, because you can if you really try hard enough, you can set your headlights so they're pointed directly into the oncoming traffic at eye level. And everybody really appreciates that.
Well, that really helps to keep them from getting too close to you. They tend to veer away from you. So,
well, and one thing to consider when you're doing your headlights though too is that if you've got a salter in the back of that truck, when you load that salter, it will pick up on the front of the truck. And so when you adjust your headlights, you don't want to adjust it to be in the same spot that your OEM regular truck lights are with an unloaded spreader. You want to kind of consider that.
I think most states are not like Missouri with salt spreaders, and the fact that you're actually able to be pulled over by DOT and weighed. And so most
What does that mean? Oh, like in Missouri where they will pull you over and weigh you?
Missouri, when it comes to snow, you're allowed to do anything you want. You can put 5 tons of salt on a 1 ton.
Well, hang on a second. I don't think that's accurate.
Legal? No.
Yes.
But they don't pull you over.
Okay. So
whereas a lot of other states are very picky about it. because, well, snow is more of a thing and they're still going after you. So you'll see an F550 with a 2-yard V-box on it and still have to make sure they don't have too much salt on it or they'll get a ticket.
Yeah, and so just for clarity there,
Yeah.
Missouri does not allow you to do whatever you want with weight. They just don't. They tend not to stop you.
Yeah, they don't care.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, so far
I'm not. Yeah, so far they don't show an interest in that. And the reason I go that far is because most guys in our area will way overload a truck with material, sending those headlights straight up in the air.
Yep.
Whereas people who are properly loading their trucks based on the current laws are not going to have that problem near as much.
You know what's fun is you see the pictures of guys whose axles or rear suspension give out because they've got the salter in there, and the side of the truck from the floor of the bed up to the top of the bedside is chocked full of salt.
Yeah, there's a really good picture that goes around every year that has that tires are blown, truck's sagging, bed's full of salt, spreader's full of salt.
No idea why there's a problem.
F250 with 4 tons of salt.
Right. Or you've got or what even better, you've got the F-150 with an 6.5 foot bed, but they put that tailgate down so they could put the 8-foot spreader in there.
Tailgate down so the 8-footer will fit.
Yeah.
Did you know that if you do that, you could bind up the frame to make it to bow and the 4-wheel drive will actually not function?
Doesn't surprise me. It's kind of like driving down the road on a waterbed. The whole thing just flexes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, bad idea.
Bad idea. Don't do that. So yep, headlights, plow hoses, straps. What else on the plow you think is a good thing to have around just in case? Solenoids are easy to repair. So have a spare solenoid on there. Have spare hoses in there as well. So let's carry a tool kit, not a tool kit, but a parts kit. So you're gonna have pins, hoses, solenoid, things like that are pretty common issues that pop up and go. And then those are the things that are, pretty easy to diag in the field and then pretty easy to replace as well. It's simple.
There's not a lot because most repairs you're not going to want to do out in the field anyways.
Yeah, that's true.
So
it's cold.
If you're working out in the bush, you're going to want to have everything you can.
Working out the bush. Man, you watched 1923?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not yet.
Spencer's awesome.
Not yet. Don't give away too many spoilers.
Yeah, okay. All right. We'll keep it quiet. It's fine. Yeah.
Oh, is that where you went when I said that?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm thinking, I'm like, man, you gotta, I'm thinking about, cruising around in the bush country.
Yeah,
hunting
he
lions.
just had a death wish. That's all it was.
Well, I mean, no spoilers.
That wasn't a spoiler.
No, that's true. He is still alive.
Okay.
Season's over. He's still alive
For now.
for now. I bet.
That's a fair point.
I bet he makes it. No.
Yeah, he'll make it.
You're right.
The show is pointless without him making it.
That's true.
Okay, we're getting into spoiler territory.
All right.
I'm trying not to.
Yep. All right. So okay. So
that was going to be my point, Ken, too. You mentioned hoses and pins. Over the few storms that we had this year, the primary things we saw coming in here were hoses and pins.
Yep.
And during that extremely cold weather we had the week of right around Christmas,
Yep.
I just about sold out of hoses.
Oh yeah.
So that's certainly something that, if you just have a bag in your truck, like Ken and Brent were saying, just a bag with a couple of the right size wrenches, one of each type of screwdriver, and a few little parts like we've discussed, you'll probably be okay for your most common small repairs.
Yeah.
If you're running an old Meyer and you're still using ATF as your fluid, you need to carry a blowtorch. And what is it? All your solenoids for the plow? Because all of them will go out.
Go every single one of them, and there's a billion of them on there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the trick there is don't buy an old Meyer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm out there with my old Western, years ago plowing. I'm like, what are these guys doing over there? And they're over there torching their pump to try and get it to thaw out.
Yeah. You know what? So the something that you don't necessarily want to do is with your torch is use your torch to melt away snow that's been packed onto the housing of the plow or the motor. So you're trying to work on stuff.
Why is that?
So maybe there is a guy I knew once that was like, there's a lot of snow on here. It's super cold. If I warm this up, it'll be easier to work on.
True.
It's a bad plan.
What'd you melt?
Yes. it's fine. You know what? You're 19 years old and trying to figure out how to do stuff. It's fine. So yeah.
I've always carried a torch with me, but it's not something I use very often.
Yeah, the torch is better for thawing out the locks on your storage containers and stuff like that.
Yes.
I thought you were going to say self-defense.
Well, that too.
Wow, that's really close combat.
Man. That's a
And then you're hungry for steak afterwards.
What you eating over there, Bill? It's fine. Oh man. All right. Yep. All right. So then on your plows as well. I mean, I think that sums up plows. I mean, anything else that's going to go bad, you're going to have, you're going to need some better diag equipment, and you're going to need the ability to clean stuff out. And if you're pulling out, valve bodies and stuff like that out in the field while it's snowing and you're wearing gloves, it's going to be really, really hard to work on those things.
Oh yeah, you can't do that out in the field. You're going to drop something, or snow or dirt's going to get into something. That's a bad idea.
You know that hose that was loose on me in Nebraska was on the V plow, because V plows are awesome.
It was broke.
Well, easy there. So it was the hose connection. It wasn't broke. It was just loose from the factory, and it was the one that's back in the very back side of the A-frame for one of the push cylinders.
Yeah.
So I couldn't get to it. So I had to pop the pin so I could get the cylinder out of there so I could tighten it up. And of course the cotter pin, as I'm tapping on it to get it out, it all of a sudden shot out and landed in the snow somewhere feet off. I'm like, yeah. So I'm sifting through the snow trying to find it. And that was actually, I thought, well, gosh, I'll get the blowtorch out and just melt the snow. Bad plan.
There's a lot of snow, wasn't
there? There was a lot of snow, and a blowtorch doesn't melt snow as fast as you'd think.
No.
Nope. So, anyway, whatever.
So, salt spreaders, that's a completely different list of
whole nother monster.
And do you have electric? Do you have gas? Hydraulic? I mean, you got to look at your spreader and figure that out, because it is such a different list between a gas old Swenson spreader to one of these new electric spreaders.
So let's just work through it. So like if you've got an electric spreader, right, there's really not a ton of stuff that you need to have with you, because at the end of the day, if that electric spreader stops working, it's either a motor or a module that you're not going to have with you.
Absolutely.
So check your connections, and really that's about the short and skinny of it.
Yeah, or make sure you don't let your salt freeze. If you do, then that's a different list of tools.
I was just going to say, you want to have a shovel or a pick or something so you can try to free up stuff if there's something gets clogged in there.
A rock bar laying in the bed.
I always carry rock
next
bars.
to the salt spreader is probably not a bad idea.
Yep.
Rock bar was my favorite tool.
Yep.
Except you got to be careful on the final send when it punches through.
Yep. Zing. Yeah. Hydraulic spreaders, you want to have, because on the electric ones, really, that's it. I mean,
hydraulic spreaders, all you need is some tools to tighten a hose if something comes loose. There's nothing else you can.
Well, now on the electric spreaders too, are we, if it's a auger type, or if it's a conveyor chain type, you can, with the conveyor chain type, if you try to run frozen snow through there, it'll probably just stop. With the auger type, the auger will probably still run.
The auger will still run, material just won't flow.
Yep.
And that's typically what happens with the conveyor chain too.
Same, yeah. Because if it bridges
just nothing
over,
comes out, but yet you feel like, man, it's still really heavy, but nothing's coming out. That's your first sign you've got a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, or your chute's clogged. And so like if you've got an auger driven spreader, anyway, number one, I'm really, really sorry. And I hope that someday you can get rid of that and move up to either a conveyor chain or a helix. The helix is fine. That's a fantastic way of doing the auger, but the
others are awful.
Well, where I was going with that is with the helix. It's a really good spreader. It's really, that auger's really powerful. The motor will actually try to spin that auger through the frozen snow. Through the frozen salt. But we pulled an auger out of a helix this year for a repair from frozen salt, and it was elongated to about another 9 inches longer than its original manufactured length, and was bent at about a 10-degree angle at the back end of the spreader.
What the hell caused that?
It did not stop.
It didn't stop. Oh. It kept turning during the frozen salt.
That is a symptom, not the actual problem. Something else did not tell that.
I don't disagree.
Yeah,
I don't disagree.
Wow. That's bizarre. So it must have had a chunk of something in there that it, instead of chewing through it,
it should have kicked back, but it didn't. So some sensor somewhere didn't tell it to shut off.
Right.
Huh.
Like it normally does.
Wow.
Yeah.
The conveyor chain, anytime there's an overdraw of electric, the system's supposed to shut off. on any electric spreader, but that one kept going.
Yep, it did.
Well, good for that spreader. Just
Well, that
powered
shows
through.
it has a lot of power.
That's right.
That's right. Yeah.
Huh. All right, that's kind of
I
interesting.
always thought they were kind of weak, but
Yeah.
maybe that changes things.
Well, and I mean, I mean, you're certainly not replacing an auger in the field.
No.
No.
Yeah. Now,
Here's the funny thing: they were able to finish salting after the salt thawed out. They were able to empty it without having to dig it out.
Huh.
Because when they brought it to us, it was empty.
Oh, well, that's cool.
good for them.
Yeah. Or they shoveled it out. That sucks.
So, my favorite is going to the gas powered spreaders,
Yeah, there's a lot to carry for those.
and the ones I had were not chain driven; they were belt driven. To the from the clutch to the conveyor.
those the Western belt drives.
That was
or was that
no, that was a Swenson.
Because Western didn't have belt drives. Western was all chain drive, weren't they?
Yeah.
Western's tailgate salters were belt driven, and
So
then
I had Swenson gas powered spreaders that were belt. There was no chains on it, so it was belt from the motor to the clutch.
it's still the drag chain was still the chain though, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. And so because I had to replace that after that thing sheared in half one storm. But anyways, the problem with the belt drive, and I probably would recommend never buying one of these, is that belt has to stay very tight to keep the tension to turn that clutch and to get everything moving. And every single storm, I had to get out with a pry bar and my sockets and tighten that belt, because halfway through the storm, that belt was no longer tight enough.
Yeah.
There was no way to keep it as tight as it needed to be.
Now, was that the belt was stretching, or was that the?
Yeah.
Oh, really? Huh.
Because you had to have it so tight you couldn't flex it, or
Yeah.
it wouldn't maintain power.
So I never had a belt drive like that, but I did have chain drives, and so I would always have to have always keep roller chain, always keep extra extra master links. Roller chain, master link, you're going to need to have lubricant of some kind. You're going to need to have the sockets and tools to be able to tighten that chain up.
Yeah.
And also, and this is a big one. If you've got a gas driven spreader, always have an extra spark plug. Because those things, they get to fouled out because you don't.
Did you ever turn yours off?
Turn the spreader off?
Yeah, once you got going.
Kind of depended. I mean, if it was a warm storm, yeah, I'd shut it down. I mean, if it's 25 degrees or up, yeah, I'd shut it down between stops. But if it's cold, oh hell no.
No, it was too hard to start.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, once we got them going, we kept them running. We even added 5-gallon tanks to the spreaders so that they could run the extremely long time without having to be shut off.
Yeah. Yeah, because that's true. I guess it would shut off when it run out of gas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That little quarter-gallon tank's not enough to
Right.
keep going for hours.
Yep. Now, how did you mount the 5-gallon tank on there? Was that like an accessory that you bought from the manufacturer? Or did you guys just kind of redneck that up?
Oh, that was redneck. That was a
Nice.
fuel tank off of an X-Mark walk-behind mower.
That's a good idea.
So we had boards for extensions on the spreader, and we mounted it up high above the spreader. So
You remember that old Warren spreader we had?
yeah,
Yeah. So that thing had a massive fuel tank up high.
yeah,
And
it's
then-
similar to that.
Okay. Yeah. Now the thing that sucked about that was you had to get a ladder out to put fuel in the thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That was a little rough.
Yeah, this wasn't easy to fill up, but you filled it up once a day,
Yeah. That's not
and
bad.
you just ran. You didn't have to worry about it. You just let it run at idle while you're plowing. Now, if you're not going to use it for 4 or 5 hours, we shut it off.
Yeah. But once you start salting,
But once you're
just leave it
doing
on.
work and salting on a consistent or semi-consistent basis, we let it run, because sometimes they're just a pain in the butt to get going.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You got to get them warm first. So, so there's something where if you got a spreader that won't start, so some things there is check your spark plug, make sure that thing's clean and looking good. And then, if you got some starting fluid, little ether,
A lot of it.
that's good to have. Use
Yep.
that. And if it still won't start, the thing's just too damn cold, you got to get it warm.
I haven't had a gas spreader in probably 10 years, but I still have tons of cans of starting fluid because of the ones I had.
Fair. So there's that close quarters combat thing. You just bring starting fluid and a lighter.
Yeah.
There you go.
Back off. It was funnier in my head.
Oh, you probably should have a fire extinguisher too if you have a gas spreader.
Oh, that's fair.
I had one catch fire because a fuel line got weak and dropped fuel onto the muffler.
That'll do it.
And the crew told me they had to pull over and find snow to throw on the spreader.
So while
fire
that's not,
extinguisher would have been a lot quicker.
well, that's not funny. I've just got this mental image in my head of some truck off on the side of the road. It's yellow
On fire.
It's yellow lights going, fire and flames and smoke coming off the spreader, and these dudes running around, frantically yeeting snow at the back of the spreader, hoping to God they put the fire out. That's awesome.
Yeah. It I didn't see it. I saw the damage. I had to put a new motor on it. But
I got a good new motor story.
Yeah.
So this goes back to probably 2007, 8, somewhere in there. We had some guys that were in from Kansas City, right? That were doing some work here, and one of them had a combo truck, and it was time to start salting. And so he calls me. He says, "Hey man, the motor on my spreader's shot." I said, "Well, what do you mean?"
I know where this is going.
I said, "What do you mean by shot? I mean, like, is it shot, or you just need a repair?" He's like, "No, it's shot. It's been going bad forever. It had compression was low. The motor's shot. I mean, is there anywhere I can go get a new motor?" I said, "Get a new motor at 2:00 in the morning? No, dude. I don't think you're going to get a motor for your spreader at 2:00 in the morning anywhere." And he's like, "All right." It wasn't 45 minutes later. He calls me. He's like, "Back up and running." I'm like, what'd you do? He says, "Well, I got a new motor." I said, "You got a new did you buy a new motor or did you acquire a new motor?" He says, "Well, I got a new motor." I'm like, okay.
Of all the things that you could acquire in a snowstorm, that is not one I would have ever considered.
No. So
I don't have a cable tying my motor to my spreader.
Right. Well, but if you think about it, it's 4 bolts and a couple wires. That's all that holds that motor on there. I mean,
if you find the exact spreader.
Yeah, I mean,
they're all a little different.
Right.
Well, no, it's more than that, because a lot of them will go down to a pulley, and you can't pull that pulley through the hole in the bottom of the plate. So you also need to take off the pulley and the retention screws.
Okay, 4 bolts and a retention screw, if it comes loose.
I'm just saying, it's impressive that he pulled this off.
Now, the icing on the cake is if he was able to swap it one for one on somebody else's spreader, and they come out and suddenly my engine doesn't work.
So what all these years, what I've gone with is that he found somebody that had finished their route, they were done for the night, and he made them an offer to purchase their motor from them, and it was amicably done, and everybody came out whole. Yeah. That's what I think probably happened.
If that's what makes you sleep at night,
yeah,
then I'm happy for you. But
yes,
we all know that ain't the truth.
Yeah, I don't know, but man, it seemed awful fortuitous for timing. Yeah. Yeah.
Although 45 minutes is pretty impressive, even to have pulled that off, much less find it and pull it off.
Yeah. Or maybe he just fixed his, I don't know, whatever. But either way, it's a fun story to kind of think about.
Yeah.
But
so just to be clear, we are not recommending that
you
acquire a motor for your spreader.
Thievery or other nefarious activity is not endorsed at all by Swinner Group or the Talking Winter with Swinner podcast. Yeah. Which, if you'd like to,
discouraged.
Yeah, and if you'd like to get in contact with us, you can do that. Text message, area code 314-260-4352, or you can email us at podcast@swintergroup.com, or you can find us on the Twitters at Swinter Snow Talk, which we now have 7 followers on Twitter.
It's exploding.
I know, right? 7. We've almost hit double digits.
We're an influencer now, right?
Damn right. Well, it's a 7.
We're an influencer.
Yeah, that's right.
I think that's what that means.
Damn right. Look out, Joe Rogan. We're coming.
Oh,
we're coming for you.
He actually makes money.
Yeah, I don't know that we're gonna make money doing this, but it's fun.
Yeah.
You know what is kind of fun though is that our downloads are up, so that's kind of fun. Our unique monthly downloads, they're up, pushing 230. So cool. if you're listening, all 3 of you, it's actually closer to 230 of you.
Nice.
Well, that are at least downloading. It could be millions that are listening on Spotify. Or it could be millions that are listening on Turf's Up Radio.
I believe it.
Could be.
Yeah, I believe it. I mean, I'm getting harassed everywhere I go. Hey, aren't you that guy?
Tell you what, shut up. Nicole just laughed at you. She actually spit laughed. There's now coffee all over Nicole's computer. Man. Good morning. Anyways.
Hey, it has actually happened. Aren't you that guy on the podcast?
Yeah.
One time.
Sure did.
It was at home.
No, it was not.
Well, he's like, hey, I heard you on the podcast.
Nope, it was not at home. It was somewhere else.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Is there anything else you want to talk about on equipment repairs? Because I think we kind of covered it.
I think we kind of covered it.
You know,
There's a million little things you probably would want to bring, but that's going to be up to you personally and your experiences.
Yeah. Well, there we go. Well, then in that case, you know what we're going to do? We're going to call it for this one, I think, because I think it's been good. Yep, I dig it. So we are talking Winter with Swinter, Ken Bogeman, Brent Reader. Brent. No, can't do it. Brent Reader right there, and Jason Dungan with us. And one last final shout out to the man of the hour, Mr. Zach Frame, who is on to new and different endeavors. We wish him the best of luck in the future. Hopefully everything he does is awesome. And hopefully he comes back and joins us for another show or two here and there. But if not, best of luck to you, dude. And we'll talk to you next time. Thanks. See ya.